Okay, good evening, everybody. As I just mentioned, I'm John Viola, I'm the GM. I have with me tonight Debbie Donahue, she's the Director of Rec and Parks, and also Racket Sports. And Brian Dean from
Eastbound Disc Golf.
Eastbound Golf. He's the gentleman who installed the Frisbee Golf Course at Bainbridge at no cost to us. As I had mentioned to many of you, or some that reached out to me, this is a trial basis. And it's a trial basis from both ends, also from Eastern Golf, right? So we're here tonight. I did get an email from Carol as well as other people and calls. There are concerns, so I've asked, and you're right. And so I've asked Brian to come in to tell everybody about it, to explain it, how it works, what they do and everything, how big they are, what they've seen with it. And then obviously to answer any questions that you all have. I know you have concerns. Debbie has all those points that were sent to me mostly by a couple of people here. So that's what it is. We are going to have, Debbie, correct? Everybody's going to have a chance to talk and ask questions. Mike is there. Where's Keith? Keith, when they come up, they just come up to the mic over there. That's it. And, we're going to ask everybody to keep it to, I guess, 5 minutes, which I think is plenty. And we'll go from there. Any questions or anything before we start? I'm going to have Brian talk. Okay. Brian.
My name is Brian Dean. I've been an Ocean Pines resident for about 7 years now, both renting on the Parkway. We were at 84 and then 155. So right around the corner from the park, I would walk my dogs there 4 to 5 times a week. And now my wife and I purchased a home in Southgate. So, we're members of the community, just like most of you or all of you are, I assume. We live here year round and have done so for quite a while now. I was approached initially by Debbie to help potentially plan an Ultimate Frisbee League in Ocean Pines as a service to the Parks and Rec Department. At that time, I also presented her with a plan that I had been working on for quite a while now, that I believe the parks would serve as a great, it would serve as a great addition to the park to have a disc golf course installed there. From that position, I presented her an initial layout. We walked the course, and I also walked the course with Eddie and Newbie from Public Works to make sure that there were no conflicts from their end. Having received the go-ahead from them, we went with our first level of installation, which was the baskets that you all see now. And that's kind of where we are. So I think the easiest thing to do from our end, unless you have any thoughts, is actually I'd love to hear from those that are against the.
Well, any comments either way?
Yeah, well, I think either way, but specifically, I think what would be the most helpful for me is to hear your concerns or issues with the course itself being there, and then hopefully I can kind of assuage some of those concerns with what I've done and what I've considered. And especially from the letter that was presented under, I think, a lot of the local homes around the Bainbridge Park area at the doors of many of those homes.
So the reason he mentioned Noby and Eddie Wells, I had asked Eddie to go when they were installing this thing to ensure that nothing was disrupted. I know some of the emails I got, and I got pictures of a tree being cut down. That tree was already down. From all pictures that I received from my team, they also said that no trees were cut down.
Sir, that's not true.
Okay.
Okay, hold on.
Hold on. I'm telling you what I was told. The picture, I sent the picture, somebody sent me a picture, I think it was Carol or Mr. Aquino. It was Mr. Aquino. I sent that picture to Eddie. I told them to have somebody go out there and look at that. They said that tree was already down. They said that they would take care of it. They did acknowledge that some brush was cut brush. And it was left there and I had them clean that up. I'm just telling you, the picture of the tree that I sent to them, they told me that was already down. So if there is something that you all know, because I got 5 or 6 of you, I'd have to see that.
I have pictures.
Okay, so I will follow up on it. I will go there. I will meet you there.
Please do.
I will, but I'm just telling you, I took that picture. That is what I was told. And were you told the same?
Many trees down in that tree.
How many?
That's true. Many trees were.
Cut down specifically for this?
No, for the bike path. There are trees that have been down.
Oh, all right, all right. Whoa. Okay.
There are many
But
trees.
they didn't do that while they were installing the
They
Frisbee golf.
didn't cut any trees.
Okay, all right, so then that's where it lost in translation, but I will check that out.
No, there was a lot of mountain laurel cut down
That kind of stuff.
to allow access.
Right.
So
Okay, hold on.
Okay, you gotta go up.
Okay, so
Chief,
Okay, so just for 1 second, this has nothing to do because I don't know anything about the Frisbee golf thing. As far as the conversation, because it's being broadcast, the microphones will not pick up 2 voices at the same time. Somebody has to speak and then somebody else respond and then
So-
somebody speak.
right, so please, so Keith, they just, hold on, so, right, you can't, it's hard for me too if you're all coming at me at once, but would they just go up to this? Does anything have to be shut down first? That's only when they're speaking, if they, okay. So what I'm gonna ask is in an orderly, order, please come up there and one at a time.
I'm Mark Jacobs. I'm the,
Right, introduce yourself, your address.
I live on Sandy Hook Road.
Okay.
A couple of questions for you, and I appreciate you coming today, and I think it's very admirable of you. The plan that you outlined, when was that introduced to Debbie?
February or March, maybe?
yeah, it's been
So-
yeah, 6 months or
The
so.
Bayside Gazette in December published an article about, there was a meeting, and Debbie, you outlined the plans for Bainbridge Park. And you said the first priority is to install equipment, which you, by the way, you and I talked on the phone, and you said playground equipment was coming. You also talked about the redevelopment of that park. And to this day, that has not been the priority, and we have disc golf in there, but we have a field that kids can't play. We don't have playground equipment. We have leftover equipment that can't be installed yet across the drainage area.
Correct.
So my question is the whole issue on this whole issue as far as transparency? The survey results that were published by the planning committee, and they were, slide 4 talks about 3 priorities that were important to the residents of Ocean Pines. Number 1 was transparency. Second was infrastructure, which I believe the Ocean Pines making a wholehearted effort to do. But Brian, this was not brought forward to a group in the community. And I think that was not fair. And I think there's a couple of salient points that I think you need to hear from not only Carol, which she outlined. She took this on for a large part and rallied the group to get consensus.
Okay.
But I will tell you, I will show there's a couple of things I have concern about is the environmental impact. And I'll go, and I'm no expert at this.
So can I,
Yeah, but let me finish it.
certainly, sorry.
So the Maryland Wetlands, the National Wetlands Inventory talks about the whole area about what is a wetland in the Bainbridge Park area. And if you look at the whole issue in terms of and we had aerial pictures taken of the example, some of the location of the basket. To me, that looks like there's some environmental impact either are going to occur or you didn't address in terms of your plan. Okay.
So can I 3 points? I think the first point you brought up was transparency. And specifically addressing the community at large. So I'd actually take that back and I'd say, are you retired now? Or
I lived here 5 years.
what is your job that you do?
I'm the Chief Information Officer for a Health Information Exchange, and we have a number of hospitals, including
So-
Atlantic General and tidal health.
So in the role and responsibility of your job, do you have to make decisions that you address with the board, or some of your decisions that you just make on your own?
Okay, so let's reestablish this. This is
in line. So
this is a decision, but you're not a board member.
I agree, but this is specifically relevant to what I think addresses your concern. And what my specific response is that these two individuals, maintenance, they have roles and responsibilities that they have to make decisions in the best interests of the park and the community at large, correct? So just like I would say in your job, in my job, in most of our jobs, we have responsibilities to make decisions that we don't address towards with the thought of, I need to consider the board, I need to consider whoever it is. Within the scope of my job responsibilities, I have the power to make determinations as to how to best see fit and carry out those job duties.
Hold up, well, that's what I'm trying to,
Because-
okay, I knew that was coming. Let me, Brian,
Specifically, because
yes, Tim.
Debbie's job is Parks and Recreation Manager. So within the scope of that job is to make, well, because this is why, because it's not being transparent for her to make a determination as to how to best utilize the parks.
So let me just, Carol, I'm sorry, because they're asking him, but some of this I should be answering, if not Debbie. So you did mention, you directed it to him. So you mentioned about the priorities for that park, and you mentioned what, I guess, strategic planning had, and what were the priorities. So obviously a park there, new park equipment is a priority.
Slide for the issue we're talking about initially is the issue of transparency. And one of the concerns we have, this was never brought up.
Okay, so let me answer it. And I'm trying to answer the first thing about the priorities and stuff. So obviously the park, the equipment is a priority. There are things as far as funding, and if you want to jump in, feel free.
So one of the reasons that it has taken a little bit longer, a lot longer, for the Bainbridge project, for the playground to be complete, is because it's going to be an inclusive playground. And in order to do that, it's going to take quite some time to be able to restructure that. And what that means is a lot of pieces that have to come together to be able to make that an ADA compliant playground and make it inclusive for everyone to use. The plan is going
Hold on, one at a
to
time, one at a time. Rick.
the plan is going to be in stages. But at the same time, I got to go through the design. I got to figure out how much space I have. I have to go through all of the steps that it takes before I can even determine how much this is going to be or how much time it's going to take. So
I want to, all right.
that, and that is a priority to me.
Jump in. So, all right, so she's, obviously the funding, this is a big thing to put the playground in. This was an easy thing to put in. It wasn't like, and I'll ask you transparency next. I'm trying to answer the first. So this wasn't a lot involved. Thought it was a good idea, still do, many people do. You know, it was a trial basis. It is a trial basis. I spoke to the board representatives about it, that, you know, we were looking at this thing. We looked at it, it's similar to what the spec tennis is that we didn't have to get board approval for something like this. It wasn't going to cost us anything. It was a trial basis, and let's see what happens. And obviously this is part of that process. So to me, the process seems to be working. Now, whether, you know, not to do it at all or whatever. All right, let me just finish. I'm trying to answer his transparency and the question about the playground equipment. Obviously, if it came down to the playground equipment or this, it would have been the playground equipment. One wasn't done because of the other one or vice versa. Hopefully at the end of the day, both would be in. All right, next question, please. You have to go up there. I think Mr. Aquino was next.
Can I answer the second part of his question about the environmental?
Oh, the environmental.
Environmental impact. So I actually I'm glad you brought that up. I met with Dave Wilson, who is the former Maryland Coastal Bays Director. He's the DNR Breeding Bird Atlas Coordinator for Worcester County. He's the Reptile and Amphibian Coordinator for Worcester County, and he's the Maryland Bird Conservation Partnership President. and he runs a business where he actually consults with environmental impact of certain projects. So I walked the course with him, and his conclusion at that time was that there's 0 to no impact on the surrounding wetlands, the surrounding environment that would be a cause from this park.
Okay, thank you.
And that's,
So will he be in a position to be able to make that statement in writing with the board?
I can get that for you, certainly.
I'll work with you. Okay, who's next? Next hand, wait.
I'm going to give it to Carol.
Okay, so Carol, please, just whoever goes, please go up to the, all right, so this was second, and who's third? Mr. Aquino, fourth, fifth, okay?
Okay.
Sixth, yeah? Okay, Carol.
Terrible public speaker, so let me just.
Right, all right, take your time, take your time.
Take your time. Okay, so I love the idea of a disc golf course in Ocean Pines. I actually like to, I viewed the Snow Hill course with some friends. We're really excited about going to play there. I saw the Decatur course yesterday. Looks great. I mean, I Laurel, Delaware, Trap Pond.
Yeah.
Have 3,000 plus acres. That's a huge park, okay? My concern is that Bainbridge Park, which is only 14 acres, just doesn't have the facilities that you need to have a good course.
Okay.
The other day when I was in the park, walk through that park every day, okay? And 3 guys, I don't think they were pro guys or semi-pro guys, 2 discs in the pond. And I think that's what you're going to see. It's just not the appropriate place. I think there's better places in the Pines where a course could go, where there's more room. You're talking about a playground, but you're going to have an ADA playground with discs flying at 50 to 70 miles an hour. It just, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. The park could use more benches, a volleyball court.
All right,
Somebody talked
that's
about
not him.
cornhole, but I'm just saying, if the park's being underutilized, I think there's a lot of better things that we could put in that park so more residents could enjoy it. Like I said, my husband and I, we threw Frisbees on the field like a month ago. We're going to go to Snow Hill to play. So it's not that I'm against, and I don't think anybody here is against disc golf. It's just the wrong location.
All right, you
The
got-
trails are just no longer,
It's not gonna,
yeah, the trails are no longer pristine. A lot of brush was cut. I walked the trail today. They're wide open spaces now. It just, you just don't have the same feeling walking through those trails, biking through those trails. It just doesn't combine well. The usage of the park and the disc golf, to me, is just not a match.
So can I handle a couple of those questions for you? So I think the first that you said was the size of the park. So Bainbridge Park, to my understanding, is around 14 acres, give or take.
give it a check.
So the premier course in this area is at Shoemaker Pond. And
Okay.
so,
Shoemaker Palm.
that's Shoemaker Pond. So
Sorry, yeah.
Shoemaker Pond is actually about 9 acres. So it's smaller than Bainbridge Park.
I didn't read that.
It's been there for almost 17 years. It has 18 holes with 2 separate baskets and 2 separate tee pads.
But it meanders along the pond. It doesn't, there's.
So
no
Shoemaker,
other-
Shoemaker has 2 holes along the pond, well, 3. So,
Yeah.
but the point withstanding, you said that 14 acres is too small, but Shoemaker,
Picking Now, 14 acres, because if you look at the park, if you look at the structure of that park, Shoemaker Pond, you have basically just trails and a pond in the middle. You don't have playgrounds or.
there's a playground directly in the center of Shoemaker Pond that has 4 different holes playing around or to it.
Well, I don't know. I don't live in Salisbury, so,
All right, okay.
Thank you.
Carol, thank you.
So, and then I think just the second quick point is that to your point that discs are going to be flying at 50 to 70 miles an hour. So that number is for long distance shots made by professional disc golfers. So the majority of the holes at Bainbridge Park are actually for putters and mid ranges, which are this, okay? So the average distance for those types of throws is probably 20 to 30 miles an hour. Secondarily, as your point, so
He's answered.
On your website or you just.
that's on UDisc, but regardless, but I'm just telling you this is you're talking about shots that require high-speed throws, long-distance throws, that there's two shots like that that are out there. And those shots are only going to be executed by high-level players.
Okay, I just want to
So,
say one thing.
okay.
No, let's-
That might be true.
Ma'am?
for this, the
Can I ask you to come back to the microphone so that they can hear you on the, thank you very much. Okay.
I understand what you're saying, you know, but the problem is that people are going to come in to play in the park that are not proficient in that sport. So those are the people that I'm most concerned
But
about.
so the people that are not proficient,
I throw a Frisbee, I think it's at least 40 miles an hour.
so the people, I would say, so the people that aren't proficient at throwing discs
Might be
actually would
ones-
throw, they would actually throw slower. So the discs actually
That's
have,
an assumption you're making.
it's actually a,
It's a fact.
yes. So I can actually tell you that discs, see if you look at here, the disc has speed ratings on it. So to actually have the disc fly correctly, you have to be able to throw that fast. So if I took you out here to the field, you wouldn't be able to throw this disc correctly. You probably wouldn't be able to throw this correctly, and it's still a very slow speed disc. I would be willing to bet couldn't throw this disc properly, and it's almost the lowest speed you could get. This is a putter. So you only develop arm speed by proficiency. And I can tell you that at tournament last year, we had a radar gun up, and there were 3 people out of 40 to 50 players that could actually throw over 50 miles an hour consistently.
I
Those are
think that's a fact.
Those are individuals that play year-round, multiple rounds.
Or they're not going to all come into the park with these discs. They're going to come in with regular Frisbee. I saw it with my own
Well, a
eyes.
regular Frisbee flies even slower.
Well, we threw Frisbees on the field. We were going pretty.
I'm excited to hear that you're playing Frisbee, but I think just the,
That's really condescending.
All right.
I'm actually, no, it's the opposite. I'm excited to have people out there playing. It's not condescending at all.
Old, I feel young, so.
All right, Carol, I'm listening. All right,
So,
thank you, Carol.
thank you.
Who was that, number 3? Mr. Aquino, right?
Saw you today while you were driving by. Sorry that I ruined your afternoon.
I am Nicholas Aquino, and I am an architect.
Okay,
I told John, and I'm going to volunteer to make Ocean Pine one of the best and more beautiful city in the United States. That's my intention
Okay.
as an architect. I didn't talk to Debbie. And for transparency, I met you this afternoon, and now, Brian, the transparency that I question is, and John knows me very well, I am still a part-timer, but I will be a full-timer pretty soon. And I told John immediately when I came 2 Saturdays ago, when my neighbors mentioned to me about the golf course. I didn't know anything about it. So immediately I called John. John told me that it was built already and they didn't know very well what was happening. And so I called Eddie Wells. And Eddie told me that he found out after it was built. Then that's the reason that I'm questioning the transparency.
Hold on, well,
I understand that many of these things need to be approved by the board. And when I asked that question, the board also didn't know anything about it. So I question. I respect you, Debbie. You are the director of the Park and Recreation, but you cannot make decision for our community without approval. Wait,
Oh, don't do that. Please don't do that.
okay.
I was going to give you your time, but please don't do that. It's disrespectful.
What is this?
Put your hand up to me like that.
I say, because you are going to talk.
I was not going to say anything to you.
Okay. Do you want an argument now?
No, I don't. I just want you to not put your hand up to me like that.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
you are very welcome.
Okay.
I don't know how you can make that type of decision without the approval of the board. Do you live in Ocean Pine?
Yes, sir, I do. I'm a homeowner myself.
And where do you live, Brian?
We live in Southgate,
Southgate?
sir.
So why don't you find a park close to your house and put it there? Eh? Why don't you do that? Eh?
May I say one thing in defense of myself?
Yes.
I am not at liberty to make decisions of my own, and I did not make a decision to implement disc golf into the park on my own. I appreciate the fact y'all think I have that kind of power, but I do not. I had a conversation with Bryant and I had a conversation with the general manager. We thought it was a great idea to try tentatively to see how it would go. Everything is temporary, same as it is in Berlin, same as it is in other places. We have the opportunity to keep it if we so choose to, but if we choose not to, it can all be removed. But I did not make the decision on my own.
So, right, and so first of all, Mr. Aquino, and I've mentioned this to you, I am the GM. It stops with me. So I spoke to the board in an update. We felt, or I felt it was similar, they felt to spec, where they said that we didn't need to go to the board for approval. There was no cost. It was going to be a trial basis. I've explained all this, and I believe we talked about this in the board meeting, and they left it up to us, and I told them I was going to do a town hall. It was going to be installed, which it was, by an outside company. It's something that's out there. This isn't like a, something nobody knew about or a small time thing. It's very big. Thought it was a good opportunity to try it out. Nothing's in concrete, like I told you that day when you called me.
Actually, the posts are in concrete.
Those are,
No, wait, I was,
No, no.
hold on.
Go ahead.
so those posts are set in buckets that the concrete's in.
Okay.
So the baskets can be
removed.
pulled and they can be removed.
I didn't hear that, but they
So-
could definitely be removed.
Yeah, it's,
But again, it's a trial basis. This is all part of the process. I've tried to answer everything that anybody's come to me. I said I would set this up. We brought Brian in, and I appreciate that Brian came. Debbie's trying to do the best, we all are, everybody, every department, and trying to put something out there. I get it, certain people are not happy. I've gotten both, to be honest with you. I've gotten a lot the other way also. And I'm just going through the process on this thing, but it is temporary. It's not in concrete, literally. And I did talk to the board, I believe, even in the board meeting, and they've obviously, let's see how this works out. I'm listening to everything. Yeah.
I respect all of you, really. And let's try it out. But you also need to listen our concerns.
Listening, I've been listening.
And if we really don't want it, tell us, we can help you take the packet out. If that's what you need.
so I think that yeah, certainly.
Okay, go on.
Holy Carol.
But you got to be at the microphone.
Yeah, you gotta be at
I'm
the-
sorry.
And then I have, Carol, I just have that gentleman, like,
We also,
you okay, sir? With her going one, you okay? Okay.
Yeah, they're my people.
Yeah.
So is there any other locations that were considered besides Bainbridge Park?
previous to even meeting with her, I kind of on my own, yes, I looked at other areas, but there aren't really any other parks that have both the space and the availability to put baskets in. The next couple largest parks would be the ones surrounding the large pond, which really doesn't have the ability or
Out by the community center,
the
an area that goes down, walks down.
At West Park?
White Horse Parks, same. It just doesn't have the space availability or the capacity. So one of the things in the design actually was to utilize the existing pathways within the park at Bainbridge to have holes accessible. So one of the fun things in disc golf is that the shape of the trees actually helps shape the fairways. So it's not like out here where you cut the fairways in.
I understand.
So that's really Bainbridge Park in Ocean Pines is the best park that's available to utilize something like this.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Mr.
David, if you want to design something, I volunteer to ask me and I will help you.
We also have, I think, some people that are not just detractors, but
Okay, right. Sir, name, address?
My name is Art Berman. I live at
One at a time, please.
I'm sorry.
I just got that.
My name is Art Berman. I live at 7 Pinehurst.
Okay.
One of the issues I had walking through the park was that it's a very narrow area for cars and it's just all stone there. I noticed that there's baskets on both sides of the road. So I'm not sure how this game is played, but I'm assuming you throw the disc from one basket to another basket. Is that correct?
no,
No,
there's
sir.
Oh,
T-pad locations.
Yeah.
Just like in ball golf, there's a T-pad location and you throw it to the basket.
okay. Well, the baskets are fairly low, right? What if are the parks open when you guys are in there playing?
Certainly.
Yes.
So if I'm walking my dog by there and a disc flies by, I have to what? Watch out for it?
No, actually, the disc golfer and part of the disc golf code is to be aware of your surroundings, to watch. So
Why should I have to walk my dog
One at a
and
time.
why should I have to be looking out for a disc being played or thrown in the park when I'm walking my dog or my grandchild is up there?
you actually wouldn't have to. The disc golfer
Why
would.
not?
The disc golfer would be looking out for you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
So
so golfers do that too. Nobody ever gets hit by a golf ball when they're on a golf course.
I mean,
So has there been any situations?
Gentlemen,
I actually have.
Hold on. I'm asking, I'm asking, has anybody witnessed a situation?
Well, it was a good 10 foot away from me, but it might have been 2 foot away or 1 foot away. There's a lot of blind spots in that by the trail.
so,
It's very dense.
There's people standing fishing right there.
so if somebody's standing fishing, you wouldn't play the hole. But I can tell you that, so Shoemaker Pond has been in, like I said, almost 17 years or more than 17 years. There have been 0 significant incidents of people getting hit by Frisbees in that entire recorded time.
Okay,
So
fine.
and that is a heavily used park. There's dog walkers there.
ma'am,
All right, let me.
one at a time,
I'm
please.
answering. So
Okay, I have.
so is your concern, or
Are you guys covered for any kind of liability or insurance?
we carry a $1 million and $3 million liability.
I was just going to
policy.
answer that.
Yes.
They have an insurance policy, and I know Carol asked me, Mr. Aquino asked me. They have it. He just told you about it. He'll tell you more about it. We also are covered.
And I think that there's one thing that should have been done. All the people that live so close to this park and what's going on here, most people don't even know what this game is, how it's played, what the rules are.
I'd love to have you out.
Well, I think if you're walking, you'd want to know what's going on and.
If this is approved to go forward, there'll be signage, there'll be rules, all of that, there'll be a course map that allows people to see that, those things that would have been probably already in had this
Right.
not
Debbie,
come to
right.
this.
Debbie's been tasked already if we do go forward with this.
How long of a time are you going to give it to see whether you think it works or not?
Let's see how tonight goes, sir.
So I can actually read you the disc golfers code. This is something that's,
It's on the table.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
on the table.
Sit down while you're doing it.
Oh.
Well, I think it's relevant to the question if he's worried about people throwing into him when the code specifically relates to that.
Sir, there's no control over who's playing.
I mean,
All right, one at a time you have to go up to we've gone through this.
Yeah.
And then I got a couple of people that have raised their hands for a while. I need them.
I didn't see this.
Okay, so who's that? You want to read this? He has a code, but who is next? What am I up to?
I don't have to read it.
I think this lady in the green.
Thank you. The first thing I just want to say is we're an HOA, right? And all of us should be able to participate in anything that goes on. I mean, for goodness sake, the minute things that the board decides, we don't even know. But this is important to us. And it's important to us because this is where we live. We live around Bainbridge Park. And we are so happy to see the little children have a place to ride their bikes, The little girl who has a pink Jeep that her daddy goes with her and she rides her Jeep around the park. That's what we want Bainbridge Park to be. A place we can walk in those trails and not worry about coming out the other end. And if there's a Frisbee in our face, we don't want our trees cut down. You just did a remarkable project in that park. And I know how hard it was because my husband worked on the committee as an engineer. It looks good. What you've done is good. What we have is good. We don't need this disc golf. We don't need these trash cans sitting around our pond. It's beautiful the way it is. The ducks love it. The children love it. The dogs love it. Anybody that lives along the perimeter of that park loves it. We don't need the trash can golf. You can do that at your house, right? How many people have a trash can and a ball?
You don't own the park because you live next to it.
Excuse me?
You don't own the park because you live next to it.
Do you pay an HOA?
Yes, I did, sir.
Sir?
Ma'am.
Hold on.
Okay.
All right, hold it. All right.
Listen, one at a time. I understand everybody has comments that they want to make. It is her turn to talk regardless.
I apologize.
Chief,
Okay.
Chief,
Thank you.
You're right.
I just have one more thing to say.
I got it.
I've seen these disc golf courses. There's a beautiful one in Lancaster that you pass as you're going into the city of Lancaster when I'm going up to Penn State. They can be in a beautiful setting. I just think Bainbridge Park is too small. I want those children to be able to play there because they can't play on the roads. We don't have sidewalks. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's not.
I think that, yes, I understand your position. And I would say, one, agree. I think it's a beautiful setting for a disc golf course. Two, I think that also the way the course is set up doesn't inhibit any other use of the park. There's nothing there that inhibits anybody from riding their pink Jeep and riding their bicycle. And
What if one of those discs would land? You say you take significant. There's no significant injury. What does that mean? Because there could have been a child come home that got hit on her head someday in that other park, but maybe that child didn't go to the hospital and maybe it never got recorded. Or maybe some duck ate part of a plastic piece in the park. You can't say that nobody has never been harmed in those parks. You can't.
I can say that in 17 years, there's been no reported injuries from disc golf in that
And
park.
that's all documented, Brian?
That's
an awful big thing to say.
I would assume so. I would have to look that.
I just love the fact that we've been down here since 2013.
Okay.
And I come from Pennsylvania. And when I walk in that park, I'm home. I'm up in my mountains because I can, and I feel safe. I can walk those trails and somebody on his own time goes and clears all those paths for the bicycles, the mountain bikes.
I actually helped doing that. So when there were down trees in the paths while I was working on this, as we're going through, we actually do the same. We want to keep the paths open and clear for all of you to enjoy as well.
I just don't think that with all the work that we're doing right now, getting this playground, we need that playground. That stuff is too old. And this good effort that we're doing with this ADA playground and your disc golf, I'm sorry, I just don't think they'll mesh. And I think if you can find another place in Ocean Pines, that's great.
Okay.
But don't take our park.
Okay. Thank you. I got it. Thank you for your comment. Who's next? So I got everybody on this side. I just want to make sure everybody on this side that had a question went. Okay, good. Sir. And then that gentleman, I know I saw his hand up. So name.
My name is Noah McAleer. I've lived in Ocean Pines since I was about 5, 2000. Lived just off Sandy Hook on Canal. So I've been going to Bainbridge since I was one of the kids playing there. My wife and I moved back to Ocean Pines after a brief stint away. about 2 years ago, we bought a house. We lived directly behind the field in Bainbridge, so on the park. We've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And I can remember going to Bainbridge as a park as a kid and it being a dangerous playground with tons of splinters. It was before it moved, before they built this other one, and no trails really, kind of dumpy, you know? And so, yeah, it's gotten great and they've added new things, but it wasn't always this way. Things changed. All right. And personally, I think the disc golf course is a great addition. I think it's another amenity to give to people. All right. I've got my son out there with me, my 4-year-old going out, and I'm teaching him something new, doing something together, something fun. I was out there last night and a couple little boys ran over to me and I showed them what I was doing and I let them throw the discs a couple times. They were aiming for the baskets. I ran into a guy at the park today who's walking his dog and he was asking me all about the discs and where I got them. And, you know, I told him and he said, oh, my kids have been wanting to try it. All right. So I think there are more people than, you know, there are plenty of people around the park that have young kids. And this is an opportunity to give them another thing to try. All right. And I don't know. I really do not think, well, there's a big common sense factor with a lot of this. You know, I'm not going to be out there aiming for anyone. I know no one's ever aiming to hit somebody. You know, that's why they're called accidents. But I don't know. I can see the park out my backyard. It's not like it's not like White Horse Park where there's 50 kids on the playground at a time. There's maybe 2 families tops at a single time on that playground. A couple of people walking around the pond. It's not a crazy crowded park. You know, even seeing the disc golfers out there, I've seen groups of 2 or 3 at a time. It's not like they're covering all the holes, so it's not like you're walking into a war zone and you're going to have discs flying at every turn. I mean, and, you know, the point made earlier about, you know, learning about this stuff, I didn't know either. I saw Brian out there doing some stuff. I was with my kids on the playground and I asked him, found out more about it. Like I said, I think it's a great addition. I think it is a super cool amenity and I really, really don't think it has an impact on anyone that could be going out and enjoying the park. I feel totally comfortable, you know, being out there with my kids and still having people enjoy disc golf.
Thank you, sir. So, Brian, and I know this gentleman's like, what kind of numbers? Because this isn't like 5 or 6 places. Is this hundreds of places? How big is this Frisbee golf?
So are you specifically asking about player participation or courses?
No, courses.
So courses in the area, we have Trap Pond in Laurel. There's the course at John Walter Smith Park in Snow Hill. Salisbury has recently approved the usage of, we just installed another course at the zoo, which is a great pitch and putt course. It's most of the holes are under 200 feet. That's actually on another small tract of land. So, and then Berlin has been recently.
Tell me about Berlin.
Berlin is on just the left side of the Berlin Park, and was recently approved, I believe, last August, but I wouldn't quote me on
But
that.
there was a trial basis?
It's also on a trial basis.
How long was the trial basis?
It's till September, so it's a
year. How long did it start? Over a year?
It's a year. It's essentially a year that they approved it for on a trial basis to determine, and then they're going to vote.
So they did make some moderations, or it's changed to just a couple of baskets or holes?
The initial layout for that we suggested to the town of Berlin was an 18-hole course using both sides of that park, and they decided that they would like to have a 9-hole course, which we obviously went with, and that's what's installed currently. And after the year process is up, we're going to meet with them and make any modifications that are necessary or pull it out of the ground if necessary as well.
So hold on. So part of the deal is we are reaching out to other places that have done this. And that's consistent with what I heard on the Berlin one. There's a few others. All right, I got a lot of questions here. This gentleman is, let me just do that and then we'll circle back again, sir.
To my address. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Dave McGregor. I've been a resident here for 8 years. And this was a great surprise when I found out that you were putting this in. And I actually went out and tested the course today. And I've been playing disc golf informally all my life. I thought before the introduction, when they created these baskets, I thought my friend and I had created the game ourselves because we did informal created golf holes around our neighborhood. And I just think it's a great thing to add to our community. All the courses I've played in my life, I've always found it's something that complements the environment, doesn't harm it. And the people who play it are very conscientious. And I look forward to sharing the sport with others and teaching my grandchildren. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just have somebody that's been waiting on the audio video. So Josh, if you can, or whatever needed to get the person to ask their question or statement.
Yeah, Mary, you had your hand up. Do you still have a question?
No?
She's trying to talk, but we can't hear her.
Josh, is she muted?
She's muted right now. Mary, you had your hand up. If you still had a question, please go ahead. We also have a hand up from Matthew.
Okay.
Matthew, you want to go ahead?
Could you ask Mary to unmute herself?
I can't.
There you are. Mary?
Keith, do I got to shut down the mics here? No.
Mary?
Can she type it in the chat if she can?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Josh. Josh, is there any way that we can get them to type it out, or somehow you get it? I just have a bunch of people in here.
Yeah, Mary,
okay.
if you're having trouble unmuting, you can type in the chat as well. Matthew, why don't you go ahead with your question?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
My name's Matthew Lake. I live at 145 Ocean Parkway. I'm right around the corner from Bainbridge. We've been playing disc golf for a long time. We've actually have our own portable goals that we take around and travel with us. I was shocked to find this course here, and we're extremely happy. Living in Ocean Pines here, things are expensive. It's expensive to go to the pool. It's expensive to go to golfing. This is something we can keep the family here in the Pines and play around the golf with them. It's something that we don't have to go out and go to Berlin or go to Snow Hill or go somewhere else to do something. This park is a community park. It's not the Bainbridge Association's park. It is for everybody in this community. And we enjoy it, from fishing to sledding to playing on the playground to whatever it is out there. So for us, this is a benefit. And I think it's a benefit to everybody around there because the people playing will actually take care of the grounds also. They'll pick up the trash, they'll pick up pick up the brush, whatever they need to clean the course. So thank you for letting me talk.
Okay.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Matthew. Okay, so the gentleman back there, we all have gone over. I'm just trying to get everybody. Gentleman in blue, sir.
Bill Reynolds, 84 Watertown Road. I've been listening on let me turn that off, excuse me. In case anybody has trouble hearing, you can turn on the thing on your phone and hear it right through your ear.
He's
Actually, not for young people.
Right. Well, I'm not young at 83, but what the heck.
Young at heart.
I went over here and looked at the park. Joe Reynolds, 84 Watertown Road. I went over and looked at the park the other day and I walked around, saw where the holes are. I mean, I understand what the game is about. I think you got to be pretty good. My guess is that on the two locations where the baskets are next to the pond, unless we have really, really experts, you're going to have 50% of them in the pond and the other 50% in the road.
Great.
That's a pretty good bet, I would say. I stopped, there were people walking on the road. I asked them, most of them didn't even know what was going on. They said, what are they? They live there. I'm a great believer. We have an HOA. All this stuff is owned by all of us. I'm a great believer that when you do something that's going to impact an area of our HOA, that the greatest consideration should be given to the people in the immediate area who are going to be impacted. A lot of people here are opposed. I don't know how many people live over there in the immediate area. I don't know that. I think one of the problems is, I suspect most people in this community don't even know that this meeting's going on, to tell you the truth. But I'd like to address a broader issue. I'd like to disagree with the concept that the board of directors tells Mr. Viola that he could start a new amenity. I don't think that was a proper response by the board of directors. I don't think this is an operational issue. If it were purely operational, no question in my mind, Mr. Viola, go do it. But we're talking about a new amenity that obviously has some controversy in this community. No question about it. We don't get this many people coming to board meetings. In fact, there's probably 3 times as many people here that show up for board meetings. So, to me, this is a matter of policy. What is our policy about establishing a new amenity? And I believe that the board of directors has failed in its responsibility in just telling the GM, go do what you want. Suppose the GM said, I'm going to let him play disc golf out on the golf course as a matter of operational matters. Not going to cost us a nickel. So I'm going to come in, put up all these things, and we're going to play disc golf on the golf course. Do you think the board of directors?
Good idea.
Actually, I thought about that. I got to be honest with you, I thought about that.
I suspect
Let me tell you.
And that exists.
That's kind of why I chuckled a little bit, because we did make a joke about it.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
A little bit more study and a little bit more observation, consideration by the board of directors. And if I might say so, I think you've taken a little bit, what's your name, sir?
Brian.
Brian. I think you're a little confrontational with some of these people, that it seemed to me anyway. Maybe not. But, what's that old saying about the honey gets the bees? And I'm not always good with that myself, so I understand. But anyway.
No,
I just, I got a couple of hands up. Somebody over here had a hand up. Name, address, please.
Hi, I'm Amy Pack, 109 White Horse. I am the board liaison for Rec and Parks, strategic planning that was mentioned, past liaison for environmental that was mentioned, and racket. But today I want to speak not as in those roles. I want to speak as a resident of 2611 Ebony Road in Baltimore County. I live right at Basket 9 on the most widely used disc golf course in Maryland, and that's at Pine Grove Middle School. I'm sure you're familiar with it. They hold multiple tournaments. It is incredibly well used, and it's a full-size course, unlike this course. The course is on wetlands, Loch Raven watershed, so we have stream and environmental concerns. It's also at a school. It has playgrounds, soccer tournaments going on. It's a very busy place. I've lived there for 24 years.
Where is that?
It's at Pine Grove Middle School in Baltimore County. It was my second home that I just sold. In 24 years, there has been 0 incidents. All those years, I walk my dog there daily. Disc golf courses attract players that are environmentally conscious, they like being outside, and there is an extreme etiquette. They will not throw the disc if they see me. They will skip holes. They take ownership of the course. They clean up the stream wetlands on their own. In 24 years, I have never seen any litter. If they have water bottles, put it in their bag. In 24 years, I have never had a golfer enter my property. When the disc, if it is misthrown, and this is a long course, this is a full-size course, so they're talking about the speeds that we're never going to see at this course. I've walked this course. If a disc ends up in my yard, they will not come into my yard. they put their phone numbers on the disc. And over the years, I have called disc players and say, hey, I have your disc. You can pick it up at my mailbox. So speaking as a person who lives on the course, I think a lot of your concerns are not reality. I don't think that they're going to come to pass. This is 10 baskets, I believe.
10.
I've walked the course. It has a nice mix of challenges. The basket that's near the playground is a good distance. And I think that's a good basket for people to learn to play the sport. I'm also a self-proclaimed environmentalist. As John Viola knows, I'm always writing about environment. There are not environmental impacts with disc golf. There might be some slight soil compaction around the basket. The discs are constructed not to cause plant damage. I agree, the basket around the pond
Right.
need to be moved.
Right.
That could be a concern. But as for the environment, it's, the golfers are not going to be taking the same source. So the course, so you're not going to see wetlands disturbed or things like that. My main point is I think we should try to give this a fact. Speaking as someone who is on the strategic planning committee, one of the big issues we hear is we want something for young players to do, young families to do. I've been here since 2002, so I was here before the skate park. And so I was here when there was all the controversy about the skate park. And that fixed an issue. Instead of having ramps all over Ocean Pines, the kids had a safe place to go and they had something to do. This is a sport that is good for all ages. And in today's trying economic times, this is something for families to do. You can go on Amazon, you can purchase a nice set of discs anywhere from $20 to $40. The kids can get out there. The traffic concerns, you'll find that we're environmentalists, people who play the course. And I've seen a lot of bike riders going up there and taking their bikes up there to play. So I don't think we're going to see the traffic concerns either.
Can I piggyback off that?
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much for that. So in walking the course and playing the course and designing the course, the majority of the individuals I've met have been people that walked there from their home. And they've said, I can't believe this is here. I'm so excited for it. For anybody else that's been around there, I know I and any other disc golfer, we're very conscientious about greeting people about saying hello, how are you doing this afternoon? I'm sure anyone that's been there can attest that we're very friendly. And we actively want to engage with people about disc golf. We want to see more people playing. Disc golf is, I'm happy to answer your question as soon as.
You are very pleasant. I actually met you the first times that you were on the course.
I give up.
Carol, please, so wait, I know Carol, hold on. I know that gentleman hasn't gone yet. Please, I want to get everybody at least once, sir. Anybody else hasn't gone yet that put their hand up? Okay, and then this lady. Anybody else for the first time before we go? Sir.
Hi, my name is Chris. I live on 89 Sandy Hook. I'm not going to get on a soapbox. I'm not opposed or in favor of disc golf. I do just have a few questions.
Okay. Saw you out there today.
Yeah, I was there with my son. We enjoy the park frequently. The setup that's there now, following the trial period, is there any plans to change or expand it?
Good question.
I think that would come at kind of the consideration of how that trial period goes. The setup, I think hole one, after kind of our discussions about the playground expansion, is probably going to have to move. And I've been just.
So we have talked about moving.
Yes.
Mental image.
So just so you know, court one is on top of the hill in the back half, closest to the trees.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay. In the future, if this does move forward and there is plans to change or expand, is that going to come at any cost to the association?
Good question.
The goal is actually to self-fundraise either through sponsorships with local businesses
Mhm.
and through some small tournaments. So
So if you're doing self-fundraising, does that make you ultimately responsible for care and maintenance of everything disc golf related in that park? And on top of that, because you have private property in that park, are you going to then contribute to the overall maintenance of every other portion of the park as, let's say, a rental space?
So that would be under an MOU, which we have existing with other municipalities or towns. Generally, one of the nice things with the baskets is that they're very low maintenance. The other consideration is that the care and upkeep of the park, specifically like mowing, trimming, are all job duties that are currently currently happening by Parks and Rec maintenance.
We would be taking care of, through Parks and Rec maintenance, we would be taking care of your private property that's placed on.
No.
If we're mowing around it.
We'd be mowing there anyway.
We would be mowing.
They're already mowing and
yeah.
trimming at that park.
I understand that, but where I'm getting at is, let's say we're maintaining that and one of our guys happens to damage a post while on a riding mower.
Excuse me.
And there's only one basket that would be applicable to.
But if that situation were to occur, are we footing the bill for that? Or because it's your private property in the park, are you taking care of that?
At that point, it would be mostly.
We would be purchasing our own baskets. If we get the sponsorships and we have the funding and we decide that it's going to stay, they would be our own baskets that we would purchase with the funds that were developed through sponsorships or whatnot. It wouldn't be his responsibility anymore with the ownership of the baskets. It would be us. And then if we have maintenance to it and something happens to the basket, then that's on us in Public Works or whoever the.
So ultimately, at a certain point, this is going to end up costing the association money if we were to keep this.
I don't see where it's going to cost us anything, even if we purchase our own, because the process is that we are going to have sponsorships. I don't see any money having to come out of Ocean Pines, and the maintenance people are there anyway. So am I not getting there? I'm sorry.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure if I was getting there.
Saying hopefully it won't cost us money, but it may come out of some association resources that end up costing us money. But my final question is, if you are considering changing the course at all as it is right now, there are a couple of baskets that are near walking areas, and I understand what you said about there's a code of conduct. But in considering those layout changes, I really think you need to consider the liability aspect. And it's negligent to place things in an area where there's a reasonable expectation that somebody could be injured, which opens up the association not only to ensure what insurance is going to cover, but also punitive damages, which are not covered by association insurance. So that's going to have to come from somewhere.
So it's just, I would say it could be considered to be negligent if there were not open sight lines to those walking paths. So wherever those baskets are, you would actually you're able to see people using those trails prior to the throw.
And that's fine. I understand that. It's something that I want the people in charge to consider, knowing that there is a code of conduct. You, and I'm sure this gentleman back here, are going to follow the rules, but there are quite a few people who don't follow the rules. There are people that go, not to vilify everyone for it, because I know there's people that go to that park right now and leave drug paraphernalia around. Seen it. They leave liquor bottles laying around.
And I would
so I'm not trying to lump everyone in this one.
I would also say
something I want them to consider as they move forward with this. I think it's great. I played before. Cool. Not really my thing. Yeah. I'm not going to play if it stays at Bainbridge. It's just stuff that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention and stuff for you to consider.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else that hasn't gone yet? These two ladies, I think the lady in the front. Okay, well, whomever wants to come up.
Come together. My name's Diane.
Hi, Diane.
My husband and I have lived on Dingy Court for almost 40 years. We love our park. We walked our dog there for many years. My concern is 2 weeks ago, as I was walking from my house, across that little bridge and down towards the mailbox on Sandy Hook, I saw like maybe 5 men that were playing disc golf. And they said hello, they were very kind, and I said hello back, but I usually take a walk around the trails. And I know that if I were walking on those trails, you're telling me that they would just yell to me. I had a bright pink shirt on that day. But if you have camouflage or a gray sweatshirt, I don't know how you would see someone there. But they were very nice. And I said, what are you doing? And they explained it to me. And I said, what if I were walking on the trails? And they said, oh, we watch out. We watch for people. But I don't know if you could be seen through those back trails. So I don't know. I know
Okay.
Jerry feels.
You had the same question? Okay, you got anything on, hold on 1 second. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes.
No, I mean the other lady.
Okay, it's basic.
Oh, you're next, sir. Gentleman back there.
You're fine.
No, she had a hand.
Go right ahead, ma'am.
I'm Jerry Littleton, and I'm the sound of everything. I've lived here longer than anybody else.
Okay.
Okay, and I've loved the park, especially all the improvements that you made this year. It's been great. But I do have concerns when you're coming around from Dingy Court into the park, if somebody cannot see you. I was coming in one day and somebody was coming out and I did not see them. If they had thrown the Frisbee, it probably would have hit me. That's one of the concerns where those trails.
That corner.
Okay,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a gentleman in the back.
Thank you. My name's Don Dover. I live right here on Clubhouse Drive. So the only thing I want to point out is, well, 2 things. First of all, when I moved on the Clubhouse Drive, my address is Clubhouse Drive. So obviously I know I live on the street that goes to the golf course. So 13 years ago when I moved here, golf wasn't doing that great. Joe, you can tell me that, right? You can, right? You can document that. Saturday mornings, my street's like a freeway, which is a good thing. I can't complain now that I live on a street that's very busy. When I moved here, my address was Clubhouse Drive. And I've heard 2 of you already say it, that it's my park. 2 of you have said it. It's not your park. It's Ocean Pines Park. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I have to say.
Dave Susan, I live on Sandy Hook, Ocean Pine Park. UDisc, it says open up to the community, or is it open up nationwide? Because you can go on UDisc website, which is a national site. Cambridge is on there.
Yep.
So anybody beyond Ocean Pines people, you come on to Ocean Pines and use this disc golf course.
Correct.
Is that okay with the board? That non-residents.
But non-residents.
Ocean Pines Park.
But there's nothing that we can do about that. All non-residents are able to do anything that we do, anything that we offer, anything that we have in Ocean Pines. Yes, sir. They
Even though our HOA is paying for it?
I'm sorry?
It's IRS. I can't shut down anything to the outside at the beach or anything
No.
like that.
That's news to me. Okay.
Yeah,
Is that,
no,
though?
it is true.
That's bigger than
It's the
us.
text, yep.
That's nationalist.
Well,
So, and then with,
I stand corrected them.
No, okay, no, that's okay. If you didn't know.
Fees are paying for the maintenance and everything
So-
else. I thought it was a private park.
It's because we're nonprofit, that's why.
and in conjunction with that,
He's right. To get on nonprofit board.
so the trails are,
Hold on, Carol, wait, Carol, please. No, I know it's, all right, you want to, wait.
so
Hold
in-
on.
could I say also, so the trails are also utilized and maintained by the International Mountain Biking Association. Currently,
I've never seen them there. But
there's
I've seen the signs, but I haven't seen the.
So that's another international organization that you could, well, but
No,
same distinction, right?
All right, hold on, Carol. I just want to see, I think, Chief, you have a question because you are a homeowner. I want to get everybody at least once.
I was just going to address the fact of being able to close down, because we went through this before with the basketball courts and things that were behind the association building. And it was posted for years and years. Non-residents could not play on those courts. And then we went through a large issue with basketball players coming from Snow Hill. They started having tournaments and stuff there. And that's when we found out through this organization that we could not post that.
Right.
To just keep non-residents. We could not post it without somebody being out there monitoring with a membership card with an address on it. If you don't live in the Pines, you can't play on this basketball court. And that's completely illegal. So this would basically fall under.
Thank you, Chief. Anybody that hasn't gone yet, this lady, right? You didn't go. All right, please, this lady, let's get everybody at least once before we go around. Did you talk? You didn't? You don't want
Hi,
to?
everyone. I'm Donna Jacobs.
All right, all right.
I'm Donna Jacobs from Sandy Hook Road. Rather than try to get all emotional verbatim, I wrote it down. First of all, my concern is not with the sport at all. My issue is the covert way that Parks and Recreation made a decision on their own in the middle of a residential area with zero transparency to nearby residents, and our board community liaison has also been invisible in this matter. I've been told by haters on social media that if I didn't like it, I shouldn't live near a park, which is infantile at best. But perhaps if those individuals, board members, and others who are finding fault with just expressing a different opinion found themselves with something they were unaware of, excuse me, traversing their property line, they may feel differently. I don't believe any of you live in the immediate area of Bainbridge. I'm making an assumption based on what I heard. And by holding this meeting after the fact, you have had a hand in making this community divisive. We continue to be told there's no cost to this community. I appreciate the gentleman who was talking about some of the costs he assumed we may be burdening. HOA fees are what maintain the infrastructure and the environmental integrity of that space, which can be used, as we know, by residents outside our community, some with fees charged, some without. But again, I agree with a couple of the other members of the audience that this should be brought to the board to determine a funding strategy similar to the other amenities, because nothing is free. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so wait, because it's quarter after, I don't know how much. So everybody has gone at least once, if not several times. It seems that there's more questions. I'm just curious, how many more people have new questions?
I have a short question.
The gentleman in the back door, and then, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 2 and then 3.
And 3?
Well, he put his hand up before you.
You said the magic 3 letters. MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. The gentleman to your right really can't sign a memorandum of understanding. And I don't even know who that would be with. Who would that be with?
I'm assuming that would be with whoever is responsible for that.
Who's doing this?
At the current time, it doesn't, I don't know.
Who put them in?
I did.
You did?
Your organization.
Our organization.
One at a time, right?
Yes.
One at a time.
I thought there was a nonprofit organization in Berlin from somebody who lived in Snow Hill.
No,
No?
that is not correct.
So-
Eastbound Disc Golf,
Okay, so, well,
which is a nonprofit
why
organization.
did you bring up MOU? I'm
Because we haven't.
confused.
So I believe that was in reference to if in the property of the baskets, that question.
Okay.
And I brought up an MOU just because that was utilized for different properties and parks.
Well,
We've also worked with.
that's right, but this property is owned by the Ocean Ponds Association.
Correct, which I'm a member of.
The more I listen here, I'm not opposed or in favor. I have no feeling about the operation whatsoever. But I do believe if we're going to do it, I think we ought to be sure we got the right place. And I think we got to be sure that the Ocean Pines Association is doing all of it, not part of it, not somebody's putting in a stake in a basket here and got some obligation. We have some obligation. You mentioned about insurance. I mean,
well, it was that
who put in some pipes with what are baskets on them. You brought up the issue, you said our organization has whatever millions of.
Well, I was asked that question.
I don't even know who that is.
I was asked that question.
Pardon?
I was asked that question.
I know, but you said, who's putting up this money? Who has this insurance? Or if we're gonna do this, I think the board of directors needs to get more involved with this. I really do. And if we're gonna do it, we need to do it properly. It's not like we went out and hired a couple guys to come in who lived around Ocean Pines to build us an indoor pool. We voted, our board voted to build an indoor pool, and we built it. And there was a lot of controversy. There always is in Ocean Pines. And if we're going to do this, we need to do it in-house, on our own, and do it right.
So certainly we could understand that the scope of construction of an indoor pool and the construction of a handful of baskets.
That's not my point. It's just a
Also,
simple analogy, okay?
Well, I'm understanding that analogy, but also with the consideration that the individuals that were responsible for designing this course are actually people that you would bring in to help design the course, right? You wouldn't have somebody
I'm not looking for a freebie from you or for anybody else. This
I'm not.
association
But what I'm saying is that when you.
If this community wants it, we can afford it. It's a very inexpensive sport by all means. We can afford it. If we want it. Now, if we want it, let's do it. Let's do it right. That's all.
Okay, thank you, sir. Wait, I have two here. I let him go and then you go.
Okay, Brian, I really could tell you're very passionate about what you do, and I think you put a lot of time and effort into it. But my question is, and I have a recommendation. Eastbound Golf is a 501c3 charitable organization with a board of directors.
Correct.
You don't represent, your president and your registered agent that created the 501c3 is not representative here. And so one of the issues that I have concern about, you're saying won't cost the Ocean Pines anything. And if you look at the IRS guidelines of what you could contribute to, you could contribute to program expenses, what it costs for the program to keep the league up, the administrative expenses, fundraising expenses, things like that. And you can make donations, whatever you choose. But the issue boils down to, there's other factors here that are not, that don't connect. And it goes back to this gentleman about the policies. And I'll make a comment on that real quickly. I talked to Debbie about this and I said, Debbie, I'm not against this issue. I think it needs to be managed. Right now, even there's a league rotation. The league rotation is obviously on Saturday, it was Bainbridge Park. It moves on to somewhere else next and it moves out the next. Each one of the players, obviously, I don't know if they collect chips for the fees or whatever they win in the tournament, but there's more going on here. We don't need to know about your organization, but the board of directors needs to do their due diligence on your organization, just like they tried to do in Berlin. And they did question the issue of donations there up in Berlin once. You know that?
Yes.
So my question is that, you know, it could be the best thing in the world. It sounds like we have a divided stance. I would like to make a recommendation. The hard work isn't clearing brush. The hard work is building consensus. And I think that we need to come together before we move forward and expand out this thing and build more consensus. What about the wayfinding? We have twice on Saturday, I provided wayfindings for the players of a league. In fact, the gentleman said, well, we have this, the GPS says it's behind these houses. That's not fair to me. There was one player that came down at a high rate of speed. I called the Ocean Pines police, and I don't know, they probably drove up there. I think I have to trust that they did that. So the issue boils down to, if we're all in consensus that this is a good thing and we're all in favor of it, but we have to it's your responsibility. It's not only yours, it's Eastbound Golf's responsibility to come together with this. I'd like to suggest we designate Carol as the community individual to come together as a committee, just like the board would recommend. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Mark. No, it's Mr. Aquino. He's been waiting. Mr. Aquino.
I nominate Carol as member of the board.
Oh, Carol for the board.
Sir, Brian, I have a question for you.
Okay.
If this is a business for you,
No.
No.
you don't,
Volunteer, right?
Yes.
it's volunteer?
It's a volunteer.
Yes.
Mr. Keno.
Uh-huh.
Passionate volunteer, I guess.
Okay, because according to what I read on your website, it say you can be an owner, you can be a representative, a seller, or whatever. And that's the reason that I'm sorry.
And that's,
I'm not
it's
going.
okay, I didn't,
I'm not sure I
I'm just listening
understand.
because I don't understand either. Where did you see that?
Isn't that on you, desk? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I think that's.
Oh, yeah, no, that's,
It say that,
okay.
that you can, and that's the reason that I don't distrust your integrity.
Right.
I say, oh,
Uh-oh.
Debbie maybe is a representative, or maybe she's a seller, you know?
Oh, so that's where this came from. Gotcha.
Okay.
No, sir.
No.
Gotcha, I understand.
Just- I didn't-
I'm not gonna address it.
Debbie.
I'm not.
Sir,
I didn't-
please talk.
Yeah, I didn't talk to anybody. This is just what after I read that, I say, maybe she's a seller, a representative, you know, but now I am clear.
Okay,
I'm fine.
Mr. Keno, she told me no.
that's fine.
Yeah, I have
He cleared it
All
up.
right.
for that gentleman, the one that find all his life and that his kids go to the playground and things like that. The playground that we have in that park is the worst playground.
Worst.
It's the worst one.
My 4-year-old would disagree.
I don't disagree because,
And I will say that.
Keep it to me.
Okay.
You can talk outside to that gentleman.
oh, no, I don't want to talk to him. He doesn't want to talk to me. So,
Right.
that's the worst playground. And
They're working on it. It is.
I am waiting for that they are going to do a new playground.
They are.
It is not for my kids, it's for my 7 grandkids.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
And I have answered also to this lady here. I realize that we all are gentlemen and we don't throw water bottles, we put it in our pocket, we take it home. I realize that the Frisbee players, they are very gentlemen. They don't trespass and they don't do, I realize that. But she is pro their organization and I am not. And she lived close to my house in Baltimore County and I never knew about this game. And for that gentleman on the White House.
Mr. Aquino.
Please don't keep it this way, don't.
I have to see you
I know, Mr. Keno.
to you, John. For the gentleman in the white hat, I realize that the park doesn't belong to us. It's the park, but it doesn't belong to Brian either. So I just wonder.
All right. Mr. Keno, the people of Ocean Pines, the people of Ocean Pines. All right.
You agree with me?
I agree with you.
All right.
It doesn't belong in it.
All right. I think I've covered everybody. You have more questions?
No, I just,
All right.
I just like.
And you can call me, text me, email me still, even if.
You know where to find it.
She knows.
I just want to say, I think the park needs rehabilitation, period. So
Understand.
maybe if that happened, then the disc golf course would seem more appropriate. I mean, you have that whole left side of the plateau. There's crevices, you know, deeper than the moon crevices. It's a recipe for injury over there. Brian, I don't know if you have seen, I actually have photos.
That's on me. That's on us. That's not him.
It's all part of, you know, the.
A lot has gone on down there.
Sure. And I have seen water bottles, I have pictures of them.
We clean those up.
Well, you're not going to always be there.
Yeah, I mean,
You're not going to always be there. And then you don't have to be there. It's not the end of the world. But not everybody has your, sensibility. That's what I'm, right, okay? So that's kind of where I'm at. It's not your guys, it's the other people that I have to.
Thank you, Carol. Is that lady, okay, then that's,
Okay, it's just a
right. No, but you never got up there, so go ahead.
short.
No, it's fine, you've been there all
Just an
night.
observation, but all these lovely people.
Can we have your name? I'm sorry.
My name is Janet Berman.
Thank you,
I live
Janet.
right across from the entrance to Bainbridge is 7 Pinehurst Road. And anyway, so my comment is I see that everything was really coming to a head because people weren't asked or given any information before this happened. I think that was part of the problem. I really, really do.
Okay.
Because I'm all for the Frisbee. I think it's great. I love, well, I want to learn how to play it and teach my grandkids. But the way it was done was not appropriate, in my opinion.
That's on me, not him.
So, and then secondly.
In the right direction, what we've been doing, or it's not to make it better?
No, I think it's a step in the right direction, but I also think there's other things that need to, you need to give people information on a broader scale so they feel inclusive and not well, we don't really care what you think. We're going to have a meeting, but we're going to do it anyway.
That's not trial basis.
That is not a good thing. Any community for any price per month. That's my comment.
Thank you. Respond. I agree with everything you said there, but that's not the case here.
Okay, good. Good. I hope not.
I'm sitting here all night, okay? Thank you. All right, thank you very much for everybody's participation.
Thank you for hearing.